around at Southeastern 16. I'm taking a back seat on basketball now to keep us up on football, but I'll get there.
Yeah.
And Vandy 24/7 is I've covered Vanderbilt for 22 years now. That's a site that I've taken over within the last year.
Yeah.
We've got a podcast by that name too, and a YouTube channel, so you can find all our coverage between those outlets. And Southeastern 16 is basically YouTube and podcast only, but you can find those pretty easily with a search.
All right. Well, I will look forward to seeing you in Nashville. It's going to be the most intense Auburn Vandy game I can ever remember. But this was great stuff, Chris. I know you've been there the whole time for it too, and thank you so much for being on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. Oak, we got Jake Wimberly, does a great show in the mid-state. Well, that's what they know. That's Mississippi's about 3 different states: the coast, northern Mississippi, central, the Pine, the Delta. You know that state well. Southern, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, all things Mississippi. Got a cool bracelet there. I like that. Jake, I heard you on Chuck Oliver's show. Man, you've got the numbers down. We've got our intern from the Plains, Oakley McFerrin. Talk to us right now about Mississippi State, because Brendan, he picked them. He liked them a lot in preseason. I picked them to beat Texas 31-17. I was looking like a genius until I wasn't. But Levy's getting them close. They need help on defense, but take it from here.
Yeah, hey, and if you remember, Rob, and good to be with you guys, Oakley, Brendan, always good to see all you guys. Rob, back during one of the hurricanes, the Weather Channel called Mississippi the landmass, if you remember that. And I can't remember which one that was. We've had so many that come through here. So we go by a lot of things here. All jokes aside, hey, look, this is a much improved Mississippi State team. I think Jeff Levy has done a really good job. I mean, he took a team that last year, again, won 2 ball games coming off the Zach Arnett situation. He's rebuilt the roster. He's got 2 really quality wide receivers. They've got a good running back room, and there's a lot of good pieces here. The problem is twofold with Mississippi State right now. One, it's a fan base problem, but this is not just it's not just confined to Mississippi State. It's confined to college football. Yeah. I'll talk about that in a minute. The second is this team has got to learn how to win, right? I mean, it's an intangible like that, and it sounds crazy. And so what does that mean? Like, when do you take the right timeout in a pressure situation? When do you kick a field goal, or when do you go for it? I mean, there's little things, there's intricate things that they are not doing that has caused them to, lose a ball game at Texas. You go back and you watch that punt return against Texas, and I watched it about 10 different times from a couple different angles. The effort just wasn't there on the return team. I mean, they missed 5. You tackle him right there, and that game is not going to turn that way. So little things, just effort on special teams, play calling at a certain moment. It's the little things. On the fan side of things, I mean, Rob, this week has been just you laugh at it as a show host, is half of the fan base wants him gone. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? Like, have you looked at the job openings around the conference and around the country? And remember who you are at Mississippi State and look, it's okay to be, you're way down the pecking order right now. So, and I don't think that, upper management, and I don't think the athletic department, and I think he's fine, but people want to win. Now, the Athletic did a great piece about a week ago, talking about, hey, maybe fans need to temper their expectations. 8-4 is the new 10-2. I mean, think about next year, we go to 9 conference games. Everybody's going to get, or most everybody's going to get one more loss, but everybody pays all this money into these collectives. Everybody wants to win now.
Yeah.
And everybody can't win now.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to a Halloween party Friday night dressed as an SEC 9-game schedule. I told you that. That's what we're doing. Jumping here with Jake Wimberly, ESPN 105.9, The Afternoon Drive in Jackson, Mississippi, Pearl River country.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only a matter of time with Jeff Levy. I think he's a great coach. I mean, he here's the deal. He didn't inherit up to par SEC roster. I mean, it's going to be hard to compete. He got a great home win against Arizona State, and I mean, he's very close to having 3 more wins on his record. Them sitting at 7-1. So then what's the conversation then?
Yeah.
I mean, it's only a matter of time when they win an SEC game. I would expect them to win in Fayetteville this weekend. And then maybe, in the season with an Egg Bowl win, get some momentum going into next year maybe. But Jeff Levy's a great coach in my opinion. And once he gets some more talent, I think Mississippi State will be headed in the right direction.
Yeah. Jake, defensively, what's it looking like in recruiting or obviously the portal? It's a whole nother frontier.
Yeah, if you look at just base numbers and recruiting, Mississippi State is about on par where they typically are as far as high school recruiting. I mean, you're talking about a team that's going to recruit anywhere from 25 to 32, 33 in the country. And those are good numbers. But again, the problem is you're in the SEC. So when you look in front of them in the 25 in is half the conference or more.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, again, another portal type class to where let's see what this team does in the portal. They're going to have to replace 2 big time wide receivers that will not be there next year. But they have shown, at least this past year, to work the portal fairly well. So, a lot of this roster, like a lot of rosters around the country, we won't know until the portal opens in January, and then how they fill that the remainder of that roster after signing day.
Well, what Oakley just said about Levy, I think he is a hell of a coach. Offensively, I mean, look what he did at Ole Miss. And when he wasn't there in the Sugar Bowl against Baylor, Matt Corral was lost, to be honest. The guy was at Oklahoma. His father-in-law, Art Browse, he's got the football IQ and the DNA. The offensive, it's the depth. I mean, you got to get that. But defensively, is there another Jeffrey Simmons out there from Macon, Mississippi? That State always gets these guys. They get great linemen. They always have them. When you talk and you watch what's going on at Mississippi State, then you flip it over to Ole Miss and you see what they're doing. I mean, I'm with Oakley. That Egg Bowl, in clean old-fashioned hate is Georgia Tech. Replace that with Ole Miss and State hate one another. And that game, Starkville's a horribly tough place to play in.
It is. And look, Lane Kiffin, though, has done a great job. He's only lost one of these since he's been, in Oxford. But it's weird, and we were joking about this because, right now we've just all, and rightfully so, kind of penciled in Ole Miss. Hey, they're going to be in the playoff now. They're there. We still have a month of football left to play. And Ole Miss, like Texas A&M and some others, have traditionally, poo-pooed the bed, so to speak, down the stretch. I don't think that they'll do that this time, but hear me out. What would be crazy is, Mississippi State has lost, we were talking about this yesterday, these 3 games against Texas and Florida and Tennessee, these one-possession ball games, is if they do, like Oakley said, get a win, and I think they probably will have a great opportunity to get a win this weekend in Fayetteville, what if they do go into that Egg Bowl and Ole Miss maybe, say, drops a game against South Carolina, or they drop a game against Florida coming up here in the next few weeks? Because, look, those are still really talented rosters. We saw how great, South Carolina was right there with Alabama last week. But then it comes down to that Egg Bowl, and as football fate would have it, is Mississippi State needs that 6th win, and they get that win in a close ball game finally against Ole Miss, and they keep Ole Miss out of the playoffs. I mean, there's so many scenarios here. I think Ole Miss is a playoff team, but humor me from a football fan standpoint. Yeah. That would be poetic justice for Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State.
Yeah. And you mentioned you mentioned that one loss to Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl that Lane Kiffin's had, and that was when he was flirting with the Auburn job. So, I mean, if Lane Kiffin's not locked in, if he's out there weighing his options, they're not going to win that football game. And Mississippi State will have the chance to uproot their season.
Yeah. And you bring up something great, a great point right there, Oakley, is because, Lane Kiffin got out in front of that this week and said, hey, look, I think to try to avoid that kind of, attention this time, is I'm going to address this with my players. But now he's got 2, one to the east and one to the west. And, what is Jimmy Sexton doing behind closed doors? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on Lane Kiffin right now.
Well, what's Jimmy Sexton kind of runs college football. Some people say he's running it in the ground with these ridiculous buyouts.
Well, he said something to Lane the other day. His Lane quoted said, Jimmy's always trying to tell me about more money. I keep telling him, Jimmy, I don't care. And then Jimmy says, but I do care.
Yeah. And that's what it is. If you ever talk to anybody that ever worked for him, I mean, it's like, look, he's the king for a lot of reasons, but these athletic directors and the presidents that are signing off, like Pete Cordelli said on this show Monday morning, on these $100 million 10-year chokeholds, that's stupid. I mean, they don't do that in Hollywood anymore.
Well, but okay, so Jake, this is your perfect person to talk to about it. Like, there's so much money being discussed, so much money. 15 mil a year, 14.5 guaranteed, these kind of dollars. What do you, when you hear things like Saban spotted in Baton Rouge, which came from a decent source. When you hear, maybe Urban Meyer's suddenly interested again, because, that's a lot of money. Is there a world where those guys come out of mothballs and the SEC next year is looking cray-cray?
It already is.
Yeah. I mean, there is that scenario. I mean, look, coaches are never going to say, and I always joke about this, they're never going to tell you exactly. I mean, Saban's never going to say, yeah, I think I'm looking at that job. Or Kiffin's never going to say, yeah, look, we got 4 weeks to play, but I mean, in my spare time, I'm talking LSU. They're never going to do that. But look, Jimbo Fisher's out there politicking for a job. Urban Meyer, wouldn't be surprised if he tried to get back in. Saban's the one, I just don't see that. I mean, look, anything's possible, especially if, look, Saban could have gone down to LSU and said, they could have asked him, said, hey, Nick, what does it take? And he could have said, 20 million, knowing that's a number that's outlandish.
Yeah.
But what if they hit the number? Because right now there is no cap. And, I'm sure you guys are following this, but yesterday, it was introduced, and I don't think this will pass, but Representative Michael Baumgartner out of Washington introduced the Coach Act, a bill that would put a cap on total compensation for athletic department employees, including coaches. I don't know that will ever pass, but something like that's got to happen. We got to start having some sort of parameters on player salaries and coaches' salaries, you would think, because all you hear is all these athletic departments saying, we need more money. We need more money. Well, the spending is why you need more money.
Yeah. Well, they piss money away like the federal government. That's what nobody's talking about that. And nobody is held accountable. And, you're paying coaches ransom sums to not coach. I mean, none of us have that luxury in life. I mean, hey, you've got a 0.50 GPA. Well, we're going to pay you to stay in school or to transfer to another school. It is stupid, but they're going to run into the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The same thing that happened with NIL. Jake, before you go, we got a few minutes, and Dudley Dawson is in here with us now. Give me your top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC, and give me your opinion on who you think is going to end up winning this whole thing. I've got Georgia beating Bama in the rematch.
So if I'm looking at, top 5 quarterbacks, let me pull up just kind of some updated numbers. I obviously not share that with you guys right now, but let me pull over here real quickly. Sorry about that. No. Just trying to move around some sheets here. And then, of course, we'll get into the SEC real quick. Top 5 quarterbacks. I think first you got to go Ty Simpson down at Alabama at number 1. I really like Diego Pavia at number 2. You look at Marcel Reed at Texas A&M, number 3. I still think John Mateer is right there. And then I think you can make a big argument for, the young man in Oxford as well. I think all 5 of those guys are very, very good quarterbacks. And then, of course, there's some others that you can make an argument for. As far as the conference is concerned, look, Texas A&M has shown us that they are for real. But again, until they show us that they can get there, you got to question, hey, are they going to stub their toe, much like we talked about with Ole Miss earlier? But I like Alabama right now to beat Texas A&M for the SEC title.
Jake, is it true, the rumors are out there, that if A&M wins the SEC, you're going to come on this show in one of those white cheerleader outfits and explain to us all those
Hey, you put some pressure on me there, but Rob, I'll do anything you need. I'll have to try to find one of those. I don't know if they sell those in this state.
I'm not sure, but they are having a blast out there in Aggie land. Jake, one of the best always. The numbers. Tell people how they can follow you, put the app on their phone, and keep up with you. And as always, like Oakley's mom always says, thank you more than you know for sharing your time with us. It means the world to us. Absolutely. And our viewers.
Yeah, just on X at Jake Wynn. We'll be on 3 to 6 today, thezone1059.com. Dudley, good to see your face. Vince, you as well. I hope you guys have a great day.
All right. Thanks so much. That is fun talking SEC football, second half hour of this show on a Wednesday, October 29th. Wow, it's just football season flying. Vince Ferrara.
Oakley, don't you have to go to class?
I do. All
right. I got to keep everyone's time around here because Rob, I got to make sure everyone's going to class. Get to class, Oakley.
Yes, sir.
I expect to see your grades. Your teacher's got to sign off every week. That's what I do.
4.0. Oakley.
Pay to play, baby. Come on.
Yeah. Let me ask you one question. Have you spotted any Auburn players on campus going to class this season?
Really? Not yet. I'm yet to see. I see them riding around on their scooter going to the dining hall. That's about it.
All right, wow. we need some video. We'll post it on the show. All right, Oakley, we'll do it again next week. Have fun in class.
All right, yes, sir. Thank y'all.
All right, you bet. All right, guys, we got a lot happening right now.
Well, now that I've got the two smartest guys that I've ever known in the sport, I wanted you to know, what do you think about NIL in high school football in Ohio?
Yeah, that's a new one.
You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming in a state such as Ohio. In the NIL is 3 letters that I have come to just really hate.
Transfer portal too. What about Vince? What do you think? You love it, right?
Absolutely not. Not surprised it's in Ohio, in Big Ten country. Shocker that we're going there. But no, the transfer portal, transferring in high school football, that's like college football players getting paid for. That's not new. It was just under the table for a long time. Transfer portal in high school football has been rampant everywhere, and so that's very unfortunate. Now it's getting to new levels because these kids now are motivated by the money they think they're going to get and positioning themselves to get the money, and their parents, more importantly, and their hangers on moving them around. And you're seeing more boarding type of schools. There's a couple in Chattanooga. And I think there's a couple more going up in the state, to where now you can just go there and the kids can just live there.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't have to worry about where you're zoned. You can just move there.
Yeah.
Florida's been doing that
You're talking
forever.
about transfer portal in high school. Arkansas had 2 quarterback commitments at the start of the year before they played their first ball game. Both of those young men, one who remains committed, one who they mutually parted ways with, were not at the same high school they started the season at in 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
they've been doing. Sorry, Rob. They're doing in Florida. Bowles Academy has been doing that for years, and you got IMG, and that's just a whole other thing down there. I mean, that's crazy.
We had Olive Branch High School for many years. They've kind of gone to the wayside now, but they were pulling kids out of Memphis, just mysteriously would just show up at Olive Branch, which is on the Mississippi side of Memphis in DeSoto County. It kind of goes back to middle school, 7th and 8th grade football, when there's a weight limit of 150 pounds on running backs, and you see guys that weigh 185, 190 pounds, and they just don't care.
You guys didn't have to wear patches. We had to wear like a patch and a double patch for weight and stuff like that.
Well, I'm talking about when my kids were playing. That they had that. There was a certain school in Memphis that just didn't care about the rules, and they're never going to care about the rules because they're squeezed in between the 2 biggest schools. Dudley and Vince, y'all cover Arkansas and Tennessee. This is a hell of a race in the SEC.
For the bottom?
Well, I mean, top to bottom. You look at Arkansas. If they had some defensive players, I don't know who, they'd be hard to stop. But Auburn got a win up there Saturday. You can tell the fan base is disengaged. I looked in that end zone. That's not what you normally see in Fayetteville. Do you think Bobby Petrino is going to be the next coach, or it's a very crowded field? Kind of read the room for us right now and tell us what you think is going to happen at Arkansas.
Well, I think it's trending the wrong way for Arkansas and Bobby Petrino. That I've never ever questioned his coaching ability. He's was great when he was here the first time in terms of being successful, and I say this often. Tim Horton was a big reason that Bobby Petrino was successful that first time. He was able to get Joe Adams, a great wide receiver and punt returner, for Arkansas to here, and they kept a lot of recruits because of Coach Horton. Not sure that this is Bobby's cup of tea, the NIL and transfer portal, as we're saying, but obviously he's done a really good job at the offense until this last 2 or 3 games when they put up some points, but they've left points on the field, and it's come back to haunt them against the teams they're playing. This was a battle of Saturday of 2 teams with 2 coaches trying to keep their jobs, one interim, one full time, and it was almost as if when the game was over, that you looked back and you went, "Is this what Coach Freeze really wants to do every week?"
Yeah.
And I know it's not, but this is like a Survivor Series in wrestling.
It really is. Alex McPherson, 6 for 6 field goals. He's had his large intestine removed. He's out there with the bag. I mean, it's a story of resilience. But yes, having to kick 6 field goals. At least Jackson Arnold wasn't out there the second half. Man.
Well, one of the first things I said is you're not going to win this football game by kicking field goals, and I'll be doggone if they don't win the game by kicking field goals.
Yeah, and I was watching it, and it was rainy. It has been raining and over. I feel like I live in Glasgow, Scotland. It's just rainy. It's cold. Hadn't seen the sun since late last week. Vince, the sun always shines at Neyland Stadium on the checkerboard orange and white, 105,000 plus. What's your feel about Tennessee right now? Because you've got this season left, schedule wise. You got Oklahoma coming in this week, and the big question is John Mateer's hand. I'll take it from there.
Well, first of all, the weather doesn't look anything like this outside, and it hasn't for a while here.
Same here.
It's been gloomy here as well. So hopefully it'll at least not rain. It's supposed to just be cloudy on Saturday and cool and not rain. But a little fallish type of weather. Yeah. So it's a good thing. But Mateer is the X factor, the game changer for Oklahoma. We had Chris Plank on from the Sooners Radio Network. You know him.
Oh, yeah. Love him.
The SEC rounds. He's outstanding. And we had him on this morning. We do a UT opponent preview, and he helped us out in learning about the Sooners. And, he said this is kind of a crossroads for Oklahoma. And, Mateer is really the center of it all. He's not sure that Mateer is fully healthy. They're not saying anything about, his health status. Mateer says he's fine, but he's not playing like he's fine.
Right.
Plus, he's not seeing things like he did pre-injury. I thought, and Chris said it too, that he came back too early in that Texas game, and he just hasn't been able to get it back. Now, the good news for them is that they've had 2 backs there in Robinson and Beaufort that have been able, and Blaylock, they've been able to get the running game going. And so with each one of us had good games separately, but if they could have that running game and get Mateer going with their improved wide receivers from a year ago, and they have a couple of good ones, then this offense has the potential to really bust out. Oh, by the way, they're playing a Tennessee defense that continues to struggle. They made Kentucky's offense look dynamic last week when it looked nothing like that in any of their games previously. So Tennessee's got to get better in a lot of areas. That's really where a lot of the fan discussion has been, guys, the tackling, the third down defense, those kind of the coverage with wide open receivers, that kind of thing. It hasn't been, we can still make the playoffs. Yes, that's still there for Tennessee, but I think fans realize, to give them credit for this, that if they don't fix some of these things, all being alive for the playoffs, not going to matter. You put a game together and look good and beat somebody and show improvements in those areas, now you can say, all right, we take care of business against the teams we're supposed to, then it's there for us. So I think that's where we're kind of at with Tennessee right now. And, they also got the offense back to being explosive, which they, certainly need as long as the defense still trying to find its way.
Yeah, and Dudley, think about this. Go down the league.
Oakley, though.
Yeah, so I know Oakley and Dudley. That's right.
I was watching you. It must be cool to have either a good hair day or a bad hair.
He's a sophomore in college. He's got a full head of hair, Al Franken hair. So look down the SEC, and I'm gonna name all 16 real quick, and I'm gonna name the ones where they wanted to get rid of the coach already this season. Alabama, of course, after the Florida State loss. Arkansas, he's gone. Auburn, holy cow, you know that one. Florida, he's gone. Georgia, they love Kirby. Kentucky, you know how they feel about him. LSU, he's gone. Lane Kiffin, they love him. Mississippi State, as Jake Wimberly said early, they're ready to get rid of some of the fan base. It's crazy. And you look at Missouri, they love Eli. Oklahoma, Brent Venables walking on thin ice. South Carolina, Shane Beamer. Is he going to go back to Virginia Tech? They're frustrated over there. Tennessee, you know what they say on your show, Vince? I think Josh Heupel's a great coach, and I would love to have him as my school's coach, but I digress. Texas, Sark underperforms. Texas A&M, Elko, they love him. And Vanderbilt, what can you say? They've got Clark Lee, who's just doing great. But I guess 10 or 11 of the 16 schools want to get rid of their coach. Multiply that nationally, Dudley. Have you ever seen a season like this one? There's a very small pool to begin with, and those coaches do have to come from somewhere.
Yeah, can we talk about the job Mike Elko has done? I mean, coming in there and has obviously they had some wins, but they were always falling off at the end. And then we'll see if they do it again. But man, this A&M team has came in here to Arkansas and won a game that maybe they shouldn't have because they didn't play that well, and Arkansas had a day. But Texas A&M not only goes in and stomps on LSU.
Yeah.
They get their coach fired, and then they get on the plane and do the GAC celebration. I mean, just total, trolling, and that had to feel good for them. And I don't care who wins and stuff, but sometimes I find things funny.
Well, Vince, what he just said, A&M and Elko, that job he's doing this year, he's the defensive coordinator there too. Just like Josh Heupel runs the offense, doesn't he? At Tennessee. Tennessee's very much like A&M in the playoff running. They've got their 2 losses, and that Georgia loss stings even more. If they lose another one, it's going to sting even worse.
Yeah, A&M, the way they looked in the second half against LSU, they look like arguably the best team in the country, not just in this league. Mm-hmm. With the running game that they have, Reed involved in that running game, when he's clean throwing the football, the receivers they have in Craver and Concepcion in the return game, the defense, the way they can get after the quarterback. Man, that was one of the more impressive halves of football, and just absolutely sucking the life and the history out of that stadium in Baton Rouge. That was something. So the thing is with them, they still have some moments, here and there. The first half, they tried to give it to LSU, and then earlier in the season against some non-conference opponents, they kind of played down to them a little bit. Plus, they commit a lot of penalties. That's something that's a concern for Tennessee, and I wonder if that could come back to bite them also. So I think they're the best team in the league the way they're playing right now. But just like everybody else, and I would still include Ohio State in this, everybody has got some flaws that could cost them at some point if they're not ready to play, if kids are thinking NIL or whatever else, other distractions that are out there. But if it wasn't for Clark Lee, he would probably end up being the coach of the year, at least the way it's positioned right now. But Rob, real quick, we were talking about all the schools around the league that would want to fire their coach right now. And we had Danny White on. He comes on with us usually every other week. They just got done hiring a new baseball coach at Tennessee with Tony Vitello going to the Giants. And so I asked him, there was talk going into the year, and we may have even had this discussion on the show, with all the financial strain on universities with NIL and the revenue sharing and everything, their back pay, all this the schools now have to take on. Is that going to limit the big cut back on the massive buyouts and coaches' contracts, or are schools going to be less willing to make quick moves because they don't want to pay out those buyouts? And we've seen that that's not true at all, the way the season has played out. So I asked him, that was the case, what's the future of those big buyouts, and what do you think about all these midseason coaching changes? And he said, the immediate thing I think of is when you make these coaching moves like this and everyone's focused on the dollars and the coach and everything, it's a toxic environment, and it really elevates the toxic environment when you make those moves, and the concentration and all the talk is about the money, and the players are having to listen to all of this. So that's where he went with it. I thought it was an interesting angle of it that we don't really discuss. And maybe those coaching moves aren't always the best thing. Is Florida really winning the race to hire the first big name out there? No, because they're not. They're gonna have to wait like everybody else.
Yeah.
And then you have others that are going to come on afterwards. So what is the advantage that your research firm gets to do a little bit more research and background check?
Yeah.
Do they really need that on Lane Kiffin if that's who they want? So I don't know how much that really helps you when you make a midseason coaching move. In some cases, it can make it worse. We saw it work for UCLA, but every case I'm sure is different. But I thought it was an interesting kind of angle that he took on that.
I totally agree with Vince and I guess Danny White on this. One of the things is these mid-season firings to me are only appeasing the fans. Then that's part of the deal now. You got to do that, especially here at Arkansas when a lot of people wanted to make the change 2 years ago, and then at the end of last year, finally got it done this year, and here they are sitting around here, and we speculate about somebody new every day. We speculate about whether does Bobby Petrino have to win the last 4 games to get the job? Does he have to win one? If you're at a level where you're saying that the interim coach has to win one game to keep the job, you're in a world of hurt here already, and we know that. I don't know who's going to be the coach here. I know there are a lot of candidates that are speculated on, but I also remember when this job was open last time, it fell to Sam Pittman because everybody was using it to get a raise or just turned it down. And so I'm anxious to see how this goes this time. There's certainly a lot more candidates out there, but do they want to come here? We'll find out.
Well, the games are becoming secondary because of all this coaching soap opera going on. And
one other thing I should mention, my son, who's the music agent now, used to work for CAA. So, I had some inner workings of CAA and how they work and Jimmy Sexton and all that. But he's really good at his job. Now, that's about as far as I'll go.
Yeah. Well, he is, and everyone's getting a pay raise right now. Vince, Tennessee and Oklahoma, John Mateer's hand. I mean, that's in every discussion. And I heard one of our guests the other day said, like, there's a metal plate or something under his hand. I mean, I just honestly get nauseous when I think about taking a hit there, how that is such a sensitive part, those metatarsals right here on your hand, those bones. I mean, I admire his toughness, but man, I think about his future. But then I think about guys like Harold Perkins Jr., who's apparently shut down his LSU career, much to the chagrin of Raising Cane's owner, who did an NIL deal with him. That's breach of contract, and I hope he sues him into the next century, into oblivion. It's just nuts. But let's talk about the matchup at Neyland Stadium, because Oklahoma's still got a really good defense. But Aguilar's really a good quarterback.
Yeah, and Joey Aguilar, man, big day, 396 yards, I think it was, passing against Kentucky. He is so good on his deep balls. He was perfect. I want to say 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 and throws more than 20 yards in the game. I mean, he is like, it's assumed a completion first when he throws the deep ball, and his receivers were cleaner and catching all the passes that were thrown his way. On one of a deep throw to Mike Matthews, he does things that we didn't see the last 2 quarterbacks execute. He slid in the pocket to his left just a touch, looked the safety to his right with his eyes, moved him, vacated the middle of the field, slid more to his left, and then threw a deep ball towards the middle of the field where the safety was gone. Matthews, who was running a go route to the left, just kind of met the football in the middle because Aguilar threw him open there, and they completed it for a touchdown. And those kind of subtleties with his experience and maturity are different than what we've seen before with Tennessee's offense. They've evolved in a lot of ways. Everyone keeps focusing on the tempo. They don't run tempo every play. No. They don't have to. Now they can execute whenever they decide to dial it down, and whenever they decide to speed it up, they're good too. So, and for some reason, Kentucky decided, hey, we're going to play man and allow Tennessee to throw. We're going to focus on stopping the run. Really? How'd that work? No one else plays Tennessee that way. That's backwards. So, so in this matchup, that defense of Oklahoma, very different type of challenge than what Kentucky brings. They will do so many things differently. Tennessee, every week, the coaches and players talk about, yeah, they showed us different things that we didn't see on tape. Venables does that all the time. So they're going to get new things that Tennessee needs to be able to adjust to. And then Tennessee, like Ole Miss last week, high-level offense. That offense versus defense matchup is fantastic. Ole Miss scored 34 on OU last week. So guess what? When that's a strength versus strength matchup, probably going to come down to the other side with Oklahoma's offense and Mateer versus Tennessee's defense. And can they clean things up on that side of the ball? Do they get, they're out Arion Carter starting linebacker. They still don't have their two starting corners yet. Do they get anybody back? We'll see, but they got to be better on that side of the ball and not just get in these shootouts every game.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Arkansas does, Dudley. Gets in a shootout every game. And we don't know who the new coach is going to be. You don't know anything, recruiting, anything. But I think you're right. Sam Pittman fell into the job. Who are the two guys that you're hearing the most from the Arkansas fans? This is who we need to get. And Tim Horton would help you shut the state down if he came back to Arkansas. That's a guy, I'm friends with him. You know him. But they got to do something. They got to do it quickly as soon as it's possible.
Yeah, I don't know what role, athletic director, assistant head coach, general manager, whatever, they need to find a role. And, I haven't talked to Tim about moving, maybe totally happy where he's at. He's got family here, obviously, and I know there are a lot of people want him to come back. It's interesting that's one of the more prevailing theories here in Arkansas is that you need to have a Tim Horton, a Barry Lunny Jr. Involved in the program. Now they may not be, offered the head coaching job, but you need something like that, and it's gotten away from a program that really invests in the state. In terms of the high school players and coaching relationships, that's been the biggest thing that in the reporting I've done in the past, I guess 2 months now, that they just haven't been an Arkansas program per se, and there's a uniqueness here. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but they've got to go find somebody. Now, James, James Franklin. They keep throwing his name around here, and we'll see if that's actually interest on both parts. But he certainly, gets a lot of talk around here, and it's from people that, have varied viewpoints. Obviously, he won a lot of games, but didn't win the big games. Mm-hmm. He's been in the SEC. He knows how to coach here. All these, Russ. Excuse me. So that's a guy that that seems to be getting the most notoriety, say, these last 2 weeks. Brett Lashley is a kid now who's a man.
Yep.
Who's gone on, has a big game this weekend against Miami down in Dallas. He's a homegrown kid, somebody that has a lot of fans here. John Summerall is the hottest candidate, it seems like to me, but he's the hottest candidate for every job that's out there. And from all indications, he's going to see what is best for him, and he's in no hurry.
Yeah.
And then you can forget Gruden, you can forget Nick Saban. He was here last week at some diner, whatever. But it's a situation that we all want them to hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
I'd like to have it taken care of. I'm not sure how big a deal it's going to be during the high school period, December 3rd through 5th. Arkansas actually got a recommitment yesterday from a defensive tackle. That was the first time on my Inside Arkansas Recruiting podcast in 2 months that I've talked about a addition instead of a subtraction.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how the high school thing is going to work out. They've got 14 commitments. I think pretty much all of them are signed. Yeah. Will sign on that time. But man, it's going to be cataclysmic around here during the January 2nd to 16 portal period, and I'm going to help my man Otis Kirk as much as I can, but it's just going to be freaking nuts during
It
that
is.
time.
Well, there are two things we're hearing a lot about right now, Vince. John Mateer's hand and Nick Saban spotted at a restaurant in your favorite college town. Dudley's right. He's everywhere.
Legend of John Mateer's hand, a Halloween classic coming this Friday on Peacock.
That's right.
John dark mode for Tennessee. Dark mode jerseys just in time for Halloween.
Yes,
this week. So players are hyped about that. So yeah, it'll be a Halloween theme when you see all the black and orange Saturday night with the Vols and the Sooners.
Look, we got to wrap it up, but guys, awesome insight from both of y'all. You know Arkansas, you know Tennessee, but you know the SEC, and you know the big picture of college football. And I'm ready for y'all. We didn't even get into Tony Vitello. I hate Tony Vitello leaving. I think it was great for the conference baseball. It drew a lot of eyeballs, but damn, catch Vince every day on his show, The Sports Animal in Knoxville, and Dudley inside Arkansas reporting all the news, not trafficking and rumors, as he says. But thank y'all so much for your time. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate you.
You bet, man. Let's say this about our sponsors we're blessed to have. Landers Ford Memphis.com. Get out there. Just call Landers Ford Memphis, Germantown, and Collierville come together at Poplar and Houston Levy. Big intersection, huge lot, ginormous inventory. These are great people to work with. I stopped in there Monday a couple of days ago. Just a lot of people committed to getting you behind a car, truck, or SUV that you're trying to get. They've got a huge selection of the Broncos. The women love these robin egg blue Broncos. They can get you anything you want. May take a week or two, but they can get it if they don't have it on the lot. Demo priced at X-Plan pricing. Look, they're open every day of the week except Sunday. So service department, you got to get your car worked on. They'll pick you up at home, at your office, and take you back home and pick you up when it's ready. Beat that anywhere. Hey, ask for Brad Bellamy, the general manager. Okay? Interest rates, whatever they are, they'll do whatever they can to get you driving off the lot. Okay? They're great people to work with, and they're committed. They're invested all over the Mid-South. And no matter where you live, they can deliver for you. $500 off for SEC Sidelines audience members. Landers Ford Memphis. Right down the street from my good friends at Hewlett and Dunn. Check them out on Instagram. Boot of the Week. Sounds like a country song that hadn't been written. Hint, hint. Music night in the boot room. The Park Hillbillies. These are great concerts. Put about 135 people in there. It's a great setting. And they got inventory coming in every day. Barber, men's, women's, jackets, clothing, bags, purses, hats, you name it. Filson, unbelievable selection of Filson for men and women coming in. Best outdoor gear. I mean, it's incredible. They've got the boots, the men's and women's boots, over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's boots. You name the brand, they have it, or they'll try to get it for you. And they can restore your boots. They have boot ears that they use, make them as good as new. Men's, women's, and children's boots. Stetson, hats, Ariat, Wrangler. Check out this Ariat stuff. It's some of the best looking stuff anywhere at really good prices. They're on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. You know, go out in East Memphis, go to Germantown, Collierville. You're right there. It's an easy trip. Hey, anything worth having in life is worth fighting for. Hewlett and Dunn, we love them. How you fight is how you live. Rumble Boxing Gym, McLean and Union in Midtown Memphis. Boxing says it all. Weights, 45-minute classes every day of the week. And Hemp for Pros, check out these gummies. If you want to get a good night's sleep, Hemp for Pros, lights out gummies, 25% off. Use promo code Sidelines. Most often, we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Find excuses to win and watch this channel. Thank you for watching. See you tonight.